come out here. Hello everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me along. My name's Dale Beaumont-Brown. I want to start off with an apology. I want to apologise to anyone who's hoping to make a feature-length documentary, because this is not going to be good for you. I'm going to talk you out of it by talking to you about how I made a feature documentary about cannabis, or rather, what the hell was I thinking? As I said, my name's Dale Beaumont-Brown. I am an independent director and producer based here in Norwich. I run a media production company called Elixir Media Production, and we make feature-length, we make documentaries for cinema, we make documentaries for TV, and we make documentaries for the web. I'm going to shut up for a second because I'm going to show you the trailer for my feature-length documentary, Grassroots. It's a feature-length doc about the medical aspects of cannabis, the patients involved, and the campaign to change UK law.
Generally not feeling that great, so I'm just about to medicate myself with some cannabis. This is kind of the newest and most effective and efficient way of getting cannabinoids into my system quickly.
Cannabis is the oldest medicine in the world. It was a medicine in this country, of course, until 1971, when the Parliament decided to stop it being a medicine. I mean, how can MPs decide what's a medicine or not?
You see, the major flaw with prohibiting any substance is that if people like to take that substance for whatever reason, somebody will supply it to them. People like to think of this as the war on drugs. I think it's actually a war on people.
There's so much stigma around us, and there's that stoner stereotype which sort of alienates us from normal society.
Something has to have gone wrong somewhere where there's a criminalisation on people that are already suffering and are already on the fringes of society. So the grassroots activism is so needed, it couldn't be any more needed.
When I found out the truth about cannabis, I was just outraged. I was like, how could I have not had this medicine given to me when so many people around the world already know about it, when it could be available, when it used to be available in this country. My own illness would never have been as bad as it was if I had been able to access cannabis.
It gives me something back that MS took away. I'm standing up for my rights to live. I'm standing up for my right to be myself. I live it every day. I can't not be in it. I live it every single day.
Yeah, I've done that. Right, what the hell was I thinking? That's a good question, Dale. Thank you for asking that. Why on earth did I make this? Right, first of all, when you become a filmmaker, first thing that enters your mind is, I want to see my film on the big screen. Right from the get-go. I've been making films since I was 16, which is a long, long time ago. I've been making films professionally for 10 years. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to fulfill my dream. So about 4 years ago, I decided, right, bugger it. I'm going to take everything I got and I'm going to make something for cinema. So I decided to make a documentary about something that is really divisive, and I didn't really have any I shouldn't have done it, basically. But there's another reason why I did it, of course, and it's this guy. His name's Clark French. He's a medical cannabis patient. He's a medical cannabis campaigner, and he has multiple sclerosis. He's dumped 9 prescription medications over a few years, saving the NHS £30,000, and he only medicates with cannabis. And he's my cousin. So that takes me to my next point. If you're going to make a feature documentary, this thing here, access, is absolutely vital. So I wouldn't have been able to make a feature documentary about cannabis if this young man wouldn't have got in touch with me. He contacted me 4 years ago on Facebook, and just casually dropped into conversation. Hi, I think I'd be an interesting subject for a film, even though we haven't seen each other in 15 years. By the way, I've got MS. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. And I was like, well, okay, well, you just dropped in that you've got MS. All right, first of all, let's just meet to get together and have a coffee. So I went over to Reading, we had a conversation, and he kept slipping in the fact that cannabis was his medicine. Cannabis is medicine, and he's a cannabis campaigner, and he's trying to legalise it. So obviously, family member Dale, the hat comes off, and filmmaker Dale, the hat comes on, and I'm raised with all sorts of questions. Okay, why is cannabis still illegal? Why are you using cannabis as medicine? Yeah, of course I'd like to make a film about you. And what turned out to be originally about 15-minute short documentary, then kind of turned into a feature-length documentary. How did I fund it? As I said to someone in the foyer out there, it's my wallet. I run a production company over on Magdalen Street, and we do corporates and stuff for business, and documentary doesn't pay too much, but when I did have money, I would pump everything into this. I had the expertise, we've got the equipment and the computers and everything to edit, we've got the cameras, and we had great access. We had access to a story. So I was like, bugger the funding, let's just make it. Let's just get out there and make it. Any challenges? Yeah, so when you want to make a film about something that's so divisive as cannabis, it's a global issue, and in order to follow Clark's story, we needed to travel around the world. So it's a film ultimately about the UK issue, about cannabis being legalised in the UK, but Clark being a prominent cannabis campaigner, he travels around the world. He speaks at events and campaign and protests and everything, so I had to follow into some horrible places, such as Denver, Colorado, where the greenery was awful, and I had to follow him out to San Francisco, where it was, well, as you can see, it's a horrible scene there, and sunshine and everything. But the point is, we were able to get unrestricted access to the legal cannabis industry in Denver, Colorado, and in San Francisco, in Holland, and in Barcelona, because there's more cannabis social clubs in Barcelona than there are in Amsterdam. Funny fact, you'll find out in the film. So we went over there, and we were just given complete unrestricted access to document this industry from seed to wheat. One of the big challenges happened, though, when we were over in Denver. There's the Rocky Mountains, as you can see. Was straight away, I'd been filming for a few months, straight away I was faced with something really critical that I didn't consider at the get-go was, hey, this guy's got MS, it's a really horrible, debilitating condition, there's going to be some mishaps along the way. And 3 days into the film in Denver, Clark had a complete relapse. We were at the facility and he just basically collapsed. We got him back to the hotel room, he was puking all night and then passed out in his bed. So one of the things that I learned there was when you're making documentaries, you just have to roll with the punches, because I think if I wouldn't have been a family member, I would have kept the cameras rolling. But because I was a family member, I was absolutely terrified and I had no idea what to do, because I'd never faced this issue before where someone who's got MS, they've passed out. I thought, well, do I have to call an ambulance? Should I just go get him some food? What do I do? And then sat by him one night, looked after him, and then he come round in the morning and he said, if that ever happens again, you keep the cameras rolling, because people need to see why and what I go through. So, if you are still stupid enough to want to make a feature documentary, I'm going to take you through some of the aspects of post-production. We shot it over 3.5 years, because to make something about the cannabis issue, it's a politically driven thing. You can't just shoot it over a month or a day or whatever. It's got to be over an extended period of time, so you can see the kind of social relapse of that. So we shot plus 350 hours of footage. It took us 2,000 hours to edit over the course of 9 months. The budget was around about £35,000 in the end, and we raised 20 grand of that during the Kickstarter campaign. Now, earlier on I said I didn't have a budget, and that was true. Basically, it got to a point where I've been filming for 2.5 years, and I knew that I wanted to get it into cinemas. I knew I wanted to get it to a global audience, because cannabis is something that has a global appeal, and I think that there's cannabis campaigners all over the world that will want to see this sort of film. So I knew that I wanted to do that. But in order to do that, I'd spent the best part of 15 grand myself on the film, and I knew I'd run out of money. So I needed to do it. But by that point, we had raised an audience. We've been doing it 2.5 years. We had a trailer that had amassed about 20,000 views. We had a massive following on Facebook, on Twitter, and the community really, really got behind it as this was the cannabis film about the UK. This was the film about the UK issue. So we was only able to raise the money we did on Kickstarter because we had an audience. We were looking for £16,750 and we raised £90,562, which is all gone now. It's all in the film now. So I can't stress enough, if you're looking to do something like this, do not go into it blind. Do not try and raise the money when you start a Kickstarter campaign straight away. You need an audience. Release. What do we do now? We've made a thing. What do we do? First of all, when you've finished it, you're not finished. Get some people to watch it. Get a handful of people, 4 to 6 people who you know, who you trust. Not necessarily family members, because let's face it, they're going to love it. I'm not going to show it to my mum because, oh, that's lovely. Oh, I'm so proud of you. And that's lovely. But when you're making something that's going to ultimately go out to potentially thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, you don't want to trust mum's opinion. Lovely as she is, thanks, mum. Ultimately, if you get some constructive criticism on your film, it's going to make your product better, because they will be able to give you feedback and they'll be able to tell you what sucks about it. And that's the best thing, is when they rip it apart, like, brilliant. I need to know why it's bad. Okay, not just tell me that it sucks, tell me why it sucks. Josh covered really well about entering film festivals, so I'm not going to talk about that. Attend film festivals. Cannot stress this enough. Okay, like the mixer beforehand when we came in, we were all drinking wine and having a chat. That's basically what you do at film festivals. You gather together as a group, you watch films, then afterwards you discuss, you have a few drinks. I hate the word networking because I don't believe that's a thing. Basically, if you just get together, have a few drinks, you make new friends, something might come of it, something doesn't. It doesn't matter. The point is, you're all discussing film, and it's all good moving forwards. Distribution and sales agents. We haven't got distribution yet, but we've got some interest globally, and that's because we've got a sales agent. And it was from attending Film Festival, the 3rd largest documentary festival in the world, at Sheffield Doc Fest this year. And we've got a sales agent now who's representing our broadcast rights globally, so it will be on television all over the world, potentially. Viewing platforms. Spoke about this a little while ago. It's easy peasy now. There's tons and tons of stuff out there. We want you to organise grassroots screenings as well, and I don't mean that in name only because it's grassroots. I mean it in terms of community screenings. It's easy enough to organise community screenings if you've got an audience there. Video on demand, TVOD and SVOD. That's transactional video on demand and subscription on demand. So transactional is stuff like Amazon, subscription is stuff like Amazon and Netflix. Because I've got a sales agent, that enables me to access these places. You can't just pitch to Netflix, okay, because they will ignore you. You need an intermediate, you need a person in the middle or a sales agent who's got their ear, because then they listen to those guys. But also with things like Amazon announcing recently, you can upload your stuff there. It's easier than ever, and Vimeo on Demand, they've got their own 90-10 split now where you can upload your film and sell it. They'll take 10%, you retain 90%. Okay. Conclusions. Don't do it. Unless. Now I've been arriving at this point. It's not all grim. Okay. Are you ready to commit countless months, maybe years of travelling, research, filming, editing, hard graft, favours, social media, PR blogs, all of that, for little or no pay? Because the documentary industry is terribly paid. Okay, you've got to be in it for the long haul. Okay, because if there's only one, basically, if you've answered yes to everything on the previous page, then you're in a good position. Because all you need to do then is find an awesome story that has to be told now and can only be told by you. Because if you're looking for funding, or if you're making a film that's going to take you 4 years to finish, and you're going to need to pump every single pound that you've got into it, you know, it's important and imperative that it's told by you. Because if you go to a distributor or a potential funder, they're going to ask you, one of the things they're going to ask you is, why does this need to be made now, and why does it need to be made by you? This needed to be made now because the cannabis issue is a hot issue at the moment. And 2016 is closer than it's ever been. I still don't think we're going to really see anything of it until at least 2020, until the Tories clear out. But it had to be told by me because there's never been a film about the cannabis issue in the UK because of lack of access. Because it's an illegal issue. It's people standing in front of camera and basically publicly admitting that they consume something illegal. It's them opening up their lives to me and to a potential audience of thousands. And that's not been done before. And I was only able to do that because Clark is my cousin. So really, I got access there that I just did not deserve. Moving forward, as I said, we're looking at Amazon, Netflix early next year. Currently, we're doing grassroots, sorry about the terminology again there, doing grassroots screenings up and down the country. We're doing film festivals. We had our world premiere last week at Norwich Radical Film Festival, where we won the Grand Jury Prize for Best Documentary. We've just got into Kansas International Film Festival. There's a handful of other American film festivals that we aren't allowed to announce yet, but we have been confirmed into, and we'll be screening it at other festivals in Greece, in Holland, in Spain, in Australia, and in Canada. But the film will be out, you'll be able to purchase it, and it'll be online in November. I think that's about it. I knew I didn't want you to get too disheartened from the start by me trying to talk you out of it, but point being is that documentary is a fickle industry, and it's no wonder a lot of people don't make their second feature. Luckily enough, I'm working on my second feature now. I've been shooting it for 3 months. I've got another one in the pipeline for next year, and I'm working on a 6-part true crime documentary series as well. So you never know what's going to come of it. At the end of the day, if you take a gamble on yourself, you never know what will make of it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.